am the Dank, and I feel like we're on like a morning radio show. Coming at you from the dark and the Dank.
Yes.
But now we have to come up with silly names.
Yeah.
Because it's always like It's like, welcome to the Saturday morning radio with Chibo and the Skids. Like,
yeah.
You know, the Woody Show.
God. Yeah, that is those are them names.
Dem nomins.
Yeah. No, fuck. No, so the dance party room was
Brazil. Fuck. O.J. Richard Kelly.
Oh yeah.
That's
Wait,
always
Jay?
Yes, he goes by J. Richard Kelly, which always annoys the shit out of Charlie when I call him J. Richard Kelly, because it's what he credits himself as.
Really?
So just Richard Kelly, yeah.
I thought he was just Richard Kelly for a while, and when did he become J. Richard Kelly?
He's J. Richard Kelly.
When did
I'll totally look this up on It's Google Time. Come with me.
And you'll see a land of pure information.
Hey! Wibbly Wankles and the Chocolate Factum.
Factum.
Yeah, I don't know.
The chocolate dactums.
Factoder. I love that movie so much. J. Richard Kelly. Richard Kelly. Richard Kelly.
It does get very surreal in Alone, and you do, like, just the sudden, like, being jolted from room to room and, like, milieu to milieu is, like, it's an interesting experience. I've never gone through anything like Alone before. The scavenger hunt was very different from just going through an actual haunt.
Well, it was still, like, they like puzzles and they like, you know, surreal and you know, the sort of cerebral stuff. But the scavenger hunt was a free event. You know, you had to figure out and unlock some things to get access to it. But, you know, it was a free event and it was to wrap up the story. This is getting closer to, you know, the show. And I feel like, I could be wrong, but I feel like the October show is the centerpiece. Like,
yeah, Absorption is going to be the big pièce de résistance. Yeah,
like where the most, you know, time and resources go. You know, they'll probably have the biggest space for that. You know,
and I wonder if they're going to be in different venues. And so it was like,
I would imagine.
Yeah, this
I almost feel like they'd have to be.
Yeah, this was in a theater, and so the theater starts with like a play. And
yeah, well,
that kind of like has the idea of like, you know, we're in a theater. This is a space where ideas are dispensed to a public, and you're going to watch a bit from a play about an idea getting diffused through the public, and now you're going to be shown through, and you're going to like go into and out of these groups where different kind of like commands and directives are spread through you in different ways.
Yeah.
To me, like the dance party room was kind of like the kind of climax of diffusion. Mm-hmm. You know, so it's like the dance party room, and for me, it's like I'm walking down this hallway. I don't know which way to go. There's one door ahead of me with that light's pouring through, and then there's another door next to me that light's pouring through. And I'm thinking, I'm going to check out the door next to me first, even though I'm pretty sure the door ahead of me is what I should be going for. And before I could even get into the door next to me, a guy bursts out of it, grabs me, and throws me into the door at the end of the hall. And so I burst into this hazy, foggy room where all these things that I assume are people are kind of dancing in the circle around this big table where all these people are dancing on top of it. And it's just hazy and foggy, and there's a strobe light going, and there's like, you know, noise rock and stuff going on. I can't make out details in the room. I can't tell what's going on. And so I end up falling into the circle with everyone dancing around this table, and my hands are up because I'm still like, the fuck's going on? Yeah. Like guarding myself. And then I look ahead of me and I see there's a girl dancing on top of the table that's in like this kind of like 60s kind of mod black go-go jumpsuity thing. The only thing I could describe is like it reminds me of like that 60s miniseries The Prisoner. Okay. It looks like something like someone in that show The Prisoner would wear. And she's like playing with everyone's hair as they pass by. And so it's like, it was just this really weird experience. And then at some point, someone on the table, who I guess was just like another guest, another like ticket buyer and not an actor, like guides me to get up on the table. And so I have to hunch because my head's hitting the ceiling when I'm on this table because the ceiling's so low.
Too tall.
I'm too tall.
Be 5'4" like every other celebrity.
I know, right? Just 5'4" with a big head.
The big head.
And so I'm standing on this table kind of awkwardly, and then it's like the prisoner girl is like playing with everybody, and like at some point she's like putting her hand up, and I don't know what to do with that, so I just kind of put my hand up against hers, and then as we're just kind of like pressing our hands together, she's getting up in my face and making these different faces with the strobe lights, and they're all like, some of them are smiling, and then some of them look stern, and then one looks almost like this kind of like almost erotic like lip bite thing, and it was all like very kind of unnerving.
Well, that's one of the things they do such a good job with playing with, is giving you a prompt of some kind and just seeing what you do with that. You know, it's like, whether it's like a prolonged eye contact, or whether it's, you know, something maybe silly or playful. You know, it's like that dance room, I feel like, was kind of designed just to see what people do, because it's like you're in this mode that's serious is the wrong word, but it's kind of, it's like, it's not, you're not in the mood to, like, you know, moving and grooving and you know, be silly. Yeah. But it's like then asking you to kind of flip around.
They're demanding that of you.
Yeah, it's like, and now here's a dance party. You can, will you dance? You can. Like, you know, what are you going to do? Like,
will you dance? I'm like, I've been like yanked around and thrown in through hallways and like treated very bizarrely, and now you're just asking me to join this party. Yeah,
it's like, I don't feel like loose and silly enough to dance, but at the same time, I kind of feel like I ought to just engage and move with the music. So, you know, it's an interesting exploration of just your own reaction to things.
Yeah, and then after you kind of go around the table enough, and it's like at some point, it's like the people that were on top of the table ended up like clearing off, and it was just kind of like me and the prisoner girl, and she had like turned her attention to other people, and so I got off the table and went around the circle with everyone else a few times, and then got pulled out and then thrown into the rest of the maze. But it was like, I don't know, the dance party room kind of, if anything else in that whole scenario, the dance party room had the biggest effect on me, because it was just like this awkward, and the only way I can describe it is like forced intimacy, but it wasn't forced as in like it was fake, but it was like I was being aggressively intimated with.
Yeah.
It's like I did not have a choice. Someone was going to like thrust intimacy upon me.
Well, yeah, because everyone it feels like all the regular people you bump into are all genuine in whatever their reactions might be, and all the actors who engage with you, they're all giving you a thing. It's like it doesn't. Yeah, it's like that forced intimacy of like, it doesn't feel fake because they're giving you something very specific that they, you know, are understandingly throwing at you, and it's sort of like, oh, I should do something.
Yeah.
But what, you know? So it's you know, again, they're really good at summing themselves up. You know, they're these like emotional experiments, and they're really cool. You know, they're cool, pie cool,
and then.
Piccolo.
And then at some point they very masterfully direct you back into the theater where you like first passed through.
Mm-hmm. And I got to see the end of the scene.
Yeah.
Oh no, we both did. Yeah.
Yeah, we got to see the end of the scene. Well, I got to see the end of the scene again. So.
Yeah, I never saw the end of the scene the first time, so it was like, whoa. It was like kind of a cool full circle, you know, getting fed through the beginning and then coming back and being like, wait a minute, this is about where I left. Like, you know, great. Last time on
Arthur Miller's The Crucible.
So yeah, it feels like the first chapter or something, but it's definitely cool. I feel like, you know, I would turn out for anything you guys do, just because it's always interesting and neat.
And they're always topping it. And from an aesthetic standpoint, they're always doing something very cool, because it's like this, you know, the past, there was always kind of like this weird like 80s new agey thing, and for the first time, like they kind of went, for the first series, like their aesthetic was very monochromatic, and this time, because it's like all rainbow themed, there's all this color, and like, you know, some of the promo art and promo audio stuff has this kind of like analog synth sound to it, and it all feels like, have you ever seen Beyond the Black Rainbow? Which is like this whacked out weird kind of like 80s throwback,
trippy, obtuse, you know, sort of metaphorical strangeness.
Yeah, it's balls out weird, and it's like this weird intersection of an art movie and a grindhouse movie.
Yeah, exactly.
And so if you've ever seen Beyond the Black Rainbow, going through Alone is like going through kind of an intimate, personal, real-life version of Beyond the Black Rainbow.
And it's funny you should say that, because when we came out of the Enola show, the October show, you know, it's like, you know, you get back in the car and you're still feeling it, and that was the only thing that made sense to just sort of put on the radio for background music was the Beyond the Black Rainbow soundtrack. and the people in the car with me even commented, they were like, "Do you have the music already?" And I was like, "Oh no, this is just this is Beyond the Black Rainbow, but right, like it matches the mood, you know, it matches the tone."
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like after the scavenger hunt, there was like music that was in different parts of the scavenger hunt, and so they released the mixtape that was the sonic background for that after the fact. So I would be so down to get the music for especially the dance party room, because it was actually really cool.
Oh yeah, totally.
It was discordant and creepy and noisy, but oddly really, really listenable.
Yeah, it's perfect for having an experience.
I don't know what it is, but it's like the dance party room and like with the prisoner girl, like that felt very weird. That got under my skin.
No. Oh.
Yeah.
I don't know, see, there's something cool about it each and every. I always find that there's something clever and something I appreciate about each and everything, but I think my favorite stuff is always when it's just me and whatever. And I remember in the first sequence of Hallways, that was a really sort of unsettling thing, as I was walking through the dark, and I swear there was a girl there, but like your eyes are adjusting just to the point where I'm like, that's a person.
Yeah.
I'm walking by her. I don't know what she's gonna do, and it's just dark enough that I'm not 100% sure.
I think I had that experience one time where it's like I could see someone in the dark, and I just sort of looked at where their shape was, passed by it, and they grabbed me as soon as I had my back to them, and that was just like jarring.
Well, and that was when I first got to the costume room, like the guy who was pulling people in had just probably pushed somebody in there, so the door was open. I could see his silhouette sort of illuminated by the light leaking out of the door. And that was all I saw at the end of the hall as soon as I got into the hall. So then when he closed the door, he was gone, and my eyes had to adjust again. And it was like, great, now I have to walk towards vaguely where I know there's something, but maybe he moved, like, I don't know, you know. It's those great little fake outs and playing with your eyes and your head, your brain, and your mind,
and
your head too.
Yeah. So I'm just wondering, it's like if the theme for Diffusion was, I don't know, it's like, I guess I'm just thinking, you know, the way in which the creators of this, I found a podcast where they were talking about like what they try and do with the Alone Haunt, and they just kind of like want to give you. They want to give everyone like a good background, and it's like they want to create like a good kind of bowl for everybody to put whatever they're going to put into it. Mm-hmm. So, but it feels like going through Diffusion, there was like something I was supposed to get out of it, but I just don't know how to. I just don't know how to articulate it, or even what sense to make of it.
I feel like I feel like whatever sense you make of it is sort of personal to everybody, and I feel like that's kind of the point, is to never be quite definite, you know, just to be as fleeting and you know, mystical as the traveling of life.
Yeah, and Diffusion did feel. I mean, after it was over, it felt short, but it was like we were in there for like a good hour almost.
Yeah, probably. I mean, you know,
we went in and came back out. Like it feels when I remember checking checking my watch when we got out, and it's like, okay, judging by when we got out and when we were supposed to have gone in, like we had to have been in there for like a good hour.
I think so.
But I mean, it felt short at the end of it.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I mean, certain, you know, they've clearly put a lot of time and thought into how they can stagger people and how they can handle. Yeah, and how they can handle, you know, the fact that different people will take different, you know, time.
Yeah. You don't realize it, but there are apparently like security cameras all through the maze, and the guys running it are cueing every single actor as it goes along.
Right. letting people know where, you know, where I guess the next person's coming from or whatever, and also I imagine at a certain point when they get through all of you, then certain actors would relocate or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, it's all very well done. It's all very well put together. You know, it's kind of it's like a Rube Goldberg machine of surreal spookiness.
Yeah.
You know,
so it's like I'm really down to see like what the concurrent or what the following episodes are like, and how those indices kind of like expand or develop what's set up.
Yeah. Hey man, chapter 2.
Chapter 2.
Gotta get on that index too.
Yeah. Which is refraction.
Refraction.
Yeah. So apparently refraction is going to be taking place at Scare LA.
Yep. Scare Los Angeles.
In August.
Scare Louisiana.
Scare Louisiana.
Scare la 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 la.
I want to know like what other towns have like a big Halloween haunt thing, because it's like for whatever reason LA it's become like a big thing in LA.
Yeah, well, I mean, and I mean across the country too, because like you know, I mean haunt in general, like Blackout's huge, and Blackout came from New York.
Yeah,
home haunts are a big thing. You know, every region has theme parks that do haunts and you know, home haunts, and you know their own. You know, Vegas has Freakling Brothers and stuff like that. You know, there are all kinds of ways to test your might. So yeah, it's like Halloween has gotten a lot bigger lately, and haunt has gotten a lot bigger too. You know, and I'm happy for that.
The spooky industrial complex.
It's nice. I mean, like I guess everything should be in its right place, but it's nice, you know, when at least if Christmas is going to come out in October, Halloween is you know. They're starting in summer to peddle stuff, yeah, by the end of the summer, instead of like, hey, it's the second week of October, here's some Halloween stuff. All right, it's the second to last week of October, and it's all gone. Like, you know, it's nice as a fan of spooky to have, you know, some of that vigor and whatnot put behind Dingle Halloween.
Dingle Halloween.
Sorry, my brain is jiggery pokerying.
I just wasn't jiggery pokery like something like Anton and Scalia was yelling about recently?
Yes, it was. Yeah. It was with the health care, wasn't it?
It was either
healthcare.
It was either healthcare or it was the gay marriage ruling. But it's just like whatever's going down in SCOTUS, and Scalia is not happy.
SCOTUS. SCOTUS always sounds like some kind of supercomputer.
We've gotten really big on like federal acronyms right now.
POTUS and SCOTUS.
POTUS and SCOTUS and FLOTUS.
They just sound like superhero robots. Like
they sound like the weird inbred brothers of like some Roman dynasty.
SCOTUS also sounds like scrotum.
Yes,
but
SCOTUS sounds like it would be like the insectoid kind of enemy of He-Man.
Yeah, there you go. It's like some kind of villainous creature.
Yeah,
a creech.
Some kind of creech.
Yeah, man. What was it? What is he? He called it. Oh shit!
What?
What was the first?
Jiggery pokery.
Jiggery pokery, and then there was like, I guess it's a buttered toast or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, I saw the John Oliver segment.
Yeah.
So
I've had Anton and Scalia's jiggery pokery.
Anton and Scalia sounds like an angry chap.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Not a happy man. Not a happy man, Supreme Court Justice Anton and Scalia.
Yeah, but hey, I mean, you know, it's a good week for, you know, benevolent things, I guess.
If you're listening to this, Anton and Scalia, I hope things work out for you.
And if you're listening to this, you know, props on the old timey vocab. I really appreciate that you're sticking to your guns and using the antiquated parlance, you know. So yeah, super spooky.
Super spooky. I don't know. I mean, would you be comfortable dishing? Like, what do you? Is there any like?
I don't use dishes. I only eat off napkins.
Oh, well, fantastic.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is there anything like deep and dark and meaningful and personal that you think you got out of your? Because you've gone alone way more often than me. So, is there anything deep and dark and personal you've gotten out of it?
Man, it's always in moments. It's like, you know, it's always interesting interacting with. It's like you learn about you, and it's like the more I do these, the less I'm trying to be cautious and guarded, and the more I'm trying to sort of let go and be a part of the thing, and just sort of really kind of fearlessly engage with it. I mean, I like, you know, you get that rush off the intensity of, you know, the spookier parts, but when you're interacting with actors and stuff like that, you know, it's like those parts really hit me in a very specific way.
And I think the dance party with the girl on the table is like the moment that I actually got that, because the rest of it was like I was getting stern instructions or it was just getting thrown around, but it was like that thing with the girl on the table was like the first time that opportunity to kind of like let this hit me happened.
Well, I had like that was the first actual like the moment, you know, because like there was the first girl I met in the hallway, like it was pretty quick, like she was freaky and then she threw me into the next room, but that whole thing with the markers and that girl like talking at you and stuff like that, kind of throwing you around, was like, it got my attention.
The first thing that happened after you went under the table and went into the hallway behind the theater stage was, girl grabs you, throws you into a room, sits you in a chair, and gives you this kind of like overly poetic new agey spiel about how light works. And when I went in it, she got in my face and was like, did you know that when you look at color or when you see anything, you're not seeing, what you're seeing is your perception of it. You are seeing the very act of your own perceiving. Just basically, you know, it's like, because, you know, sight doesn't exist until it's kind of interpreted by your brain, and so there's that kind of like disconnect in it between reality and perception. And when she's giving me this spiel, she is turning my face to look at myself in a mirror. And that was oddly effective.
Yeah.
And then she grabs these like bundles of kind of like skin body crayons and just draws, and they're bundled together, so she puts like 6 or 7 lines just down both of your forearms.
Yeah.
And then she said
chaotic rainbow colors.
Yeah. And then she says that
color's the pain of light.
Color is the pain of light, which sounds ridiculous, but at the moment when someone's getting in your face and is throwing you into a chair, it hits you.
Yeah.
Where it's like...
It's a visceral moment, you know? It's like, it grabs your attention because it's your attention. Like,
and I feel like that line, because it is such like a whammer line, that is something that's going to kind of be discussed in like the later indices as they talk more about... Because they're all based off another step in the interaction between light and objects.
Yeah. See, I'm really curious to see where this goes, because this did feel introductory to me.
Yeah.
And it did feel something
Chapter 1
of a shorter... It's like this felt like a shorter experience than the Enola Body experience did.
Yeah.
But fittingly so. It's the first, you know, it's the first chapter. So it was just intriguing. It was just so nice to be back in that vein again, you know, because I like what their voice is. So yeah, it's like, this was interesting because it was different. It was like you said, it was that constant back and forth between being on your own and then with people, and sort of the ebb and flow of that, you know, the sort of coming together and breaking apart. And, you know, you get to, you know, you feel your mind and your body in those scenarios, you know. You're very aware of space and air, you know, and that's the stuff I kind of love about this, you know. And I like the interactive, the sort of one-on-one scenarios of each, and that's something I think will, and I hope will, ramp up as the indices ramp up, because like that's the one in October again was like each room was a different, like, is you and a situation or an actor or, you know, something, and there are so many, it's very personal that way. And so this one was kind of a back and forth between those, which is cool in a different way. So, you know, I like the personal stuff, you know, and those are the sort of things that push me the most and sort of challenge me the most. Although, you know, getting in that room with other people and it's that weird push-pull of, it's kind of wacky just putting clothes on people and tying stuff on each other, but I think that's the point, is it's supposed to kind of strip you to this very sort of fluid place of just like, you know,
kind of being a puppet.
Yeah, you submit yourself to what's going on, you know, to what they're, you know, you can still move and do things, that's the encouragement, but, you know, it's like, in opening yourself up to doing that, you know, in taking more control of the situation, you're almost submitting to the greater, you know, scheme.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like if you make the choice to dance in the dance party room, it's like you're doing what the space is demanding of you.
Yeah. You know, it makes you feel a room, and it makes you, you know, perceive kind of harder. There's less tunnel vision.
Yeah.
It's funny, it's like, the more restrictive your vision is, the less you have tunnel vision.
It took tunnel vision, but he was overcome immobile. But first he bought that crack back like a yo-yo.
That's from?
Oh my God, by Jay-Z.
Oh, okay. Man,
I'm sorry.
Crack.
Digression.
Oh, and that was a cool thing. That was a cool thing about this one in particular, was all the stuff that, like, I got decent at sort of just kind of vibing with what was going on. So especially in the visual, like, you know, when they're projecting all that stuff across the sheet that's on your face, it's like I did kind of start to sort of haze and trip a little bit on that, you know, or in the dressing room with the strobe, it's like I did just sort of start to, you know, you remember it in a more figurative way.
Yeah.
You know, you start to trance out, and you start to feel, because they're not dizzy, but
they're pumping fog into every room of it. It felt like they were pumping fog in the theater when you're watching the scene on the stage. They were definitely pumping fog into the dance party room.
Well, that gives it an otherworldly quality, you know.
Yeah, and it's like once you start pumping fog into one room, it'll invariably just start spreading all over the place. So it's like there was something very dreamlike about being in there.
Yeah,
it's like, and then you add a strobe onto it, so it's like you're being forced with way too much information and then way too little information to just understand your surroundings.
Yeah, well, I feel like the sort of trappings is like that's the world that all these take place in. Is like it's otherworldly, but not. It's like it's not quite. It's like it's the world you live in, but like a different, like a sub thread of that world.
I'm going to go off my rocker for a second here, but I'm going to say it's the experience that we're always trying to run away from. The fact that, you know, we go about our daily lives trying to like exert some idea of understanding and control, and go about thinking that to a greater extent than is true, we know what we're doing and we know what's going on. But in reality, just like the very nature of like taking stock of the fact that we are alive is like we're kind of thrown into the world out of our control. We don't have real, you know, apprehension of what's going on. We're full of haziness and confusion and indistinct ideas of just anything going on in our lives. Mm-hmm. And so it's like going through this haunt is basically just taking that and making it manifest and making it real.
Yeah. You know, it's like it's you as a part of as like a cog in a bigger, this sort of electron cloud of life.
Yeah.
I guess you wouldn't be a cog, then you would be an electron.
Yeah.
It's sort of being pulled and pushed by outside forces and sort of cast into situations that, you know, they know, but you don't.
Yeah.
You know, and that's kind of, how living is.
The experience of thrownness.
It's like, whatever the outside forces knows the construct better than you do, and is going to put you there. Like, it's going to guide you there, whether you like it or not. Unless you call the safe word.
Yeah. There is a plan. You don't know the plan. The plan is something you can't even wrap your head around, just understanding the day-to-day events that are going on.
Just go with the plan.
Yeah, just go with the plan. The plan will make no sense to you.
We'll give you the plan, just go.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I'm so down.
Yeah.
I'm happy that these dudes do what they do.
It was pretty dank.
It was very dank.
It was pretty dank ass spooky.
It was dank as hell. So, I'm excited. I can't wait for round 2. I gotta get on that.
Yeah.
I gotta find my arrangements.
Yeah.
You know, track down some ticks.
Yeah. Got to get refracted.
Yeah, gotta get refracted. We've been diffused. We ought to be refracted. Right?
We have to, right?
We gotta get lit up.
Yeah. Gotta get rainbowed the fuck out.
Boy.
I don't know. There was something weird. It was like the scavenger hunt, for instance, kind of ended up with this weird kind of like at the very end of the scavenger hunt, you get pulled into this room and there's like the actors going through this bizarre, noisy thing it's almost like, and with the space and with the words that were being spoken in this kind of episode at the very end of the scavenger hunt, it was almost like Christianity as viewed through the cult in the first season of True Detective.
Huh.
So it was like very like weird and like incomprehensible, but like still fervent and like fanatical. And the guy kept on like shouting about God, and this was apparently, at the end of getting bounced back and forth between Enola and this rival organization, this guy is referring to himself as someone who is from the Enola Foundation. So it's like, I'm wondering, is there going to be a culmination at the end of the whole rainbow thing?
I am colors.
Yeah, I am colors.
Hey, man.
Like, where's this going? Because the scavenger hunt was cool, but it's like, it felt like they were weaving a story with the two warring factions and the two warring entities, Enola and the Society for Propagation of Functional Information, or SPIFFY for short.
Spiffy.
That just kind of emerged out of nowhere in the middle of the scavenger hunt and just sort of started hijacking your instructions.
Mm.
So it was, I'm just interested, like, how is that gonna pan out in in the indices thing? Indices.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like
of course
their concept this time is more abstract. It's like, it was always...
There's not a backstory of an Enola Foundation. There's just this theme of, hey, colors.
Yeah, there's no...
Rainbows.
There's
light.
no, organization or they even made a website for the Enola Foundation, on the last one. Like, it was highly interactive that way. This one, it seems like it's more... much more elemental and conceptual, because, that makes sense for the Enola storyline because it's under the conceit of this is a foundation that can help you, so it has more human components than I feel like this does.
Yeah.
This has... You start to... And this
way more aesthetic and abstract components.
Yeah, this may be very crackpot, but even the people in this iteration almost feel like, or at least my mind sort of reinterpreted them as not so much people, but just, just swarms of light. Like, if light is the idea, if light is at the core, then, anything you can see is all, light bouncing off of stuff. So perhaps this is just light bent and now sending you a message and then dissipating again when it sends you into the next room. So it's like... Because,
like, in...
That's sort of the
in the scavenger hunt and in the haunt, from what I hear, like last year's haunt and the scavenger hunt, there were individual specific characters that had like a specific kind of like look and kind of element to them. Like during the scavenger hunt, for instance, there was this girl who was like a classical clown with like who was just like miming and being lively in this kind of interesting, weird way. There were these kind of official older guys that were like the Enola reps or the leaders of Enola. And
in the scavenger hunt, it was a lot more vague in the...
In this, it's like the characters you interact with, like, I can only glom onto the prisoner girl because she was the one who just had anything distinct going about her besides the guy in the red jacket in the wardrobe room. Mm-hmm. And the actors doing the crucible scene. Everyone else that grabs you and is forcing you into different rooms, even the girl that gives you the spiel about color is the pain of light, they're all just people in black garb that are just... They feel very, like, arbitrary and, like, anonymous and kind of faceless in that way.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, in the suspension of disbelief, they almost feel like they wouldn't be people. They're just, light manipulating itself to communicate a thing to you before sending you along your way.
I'm just imagining what it would be like if instead of people in black garb, if they were like in full blackout like morph suit garb.
I think it's cool though if they take a sort of humanoid, you know.
Yeah, I'm talking about just to give that extra otherworldly kind of like inch or mile to it.
Well, they did things like that in certain parts of the Enola one, because the Enola one was sort of dipped in and out of what was close to reality. So it's like you started with this breathing exercise and a woman, you know, who's clearly with the foundation. You know, they had people out front in these white suits and stuff like that. Yeah. Like you started in a world close to our own, and then as you got further in, you know, some of the more preliminary rooms were cultish, but still like human. And then as you got further in, the rooms got more surreal and more strange, and you know, the way, like, instead of people, you know, there would be, you know, these creature things, you know, people in suits. It was like they would be in suits, or they would be, you know, changed so as not to look human anymore, not to look entirely like people. So they did, and they do, and we might see more of that as time goes on. You never know. But yeah, that was sort of like the original one sort of descended further into strange, surreal, you know. And then when you saw another just person again, it was sort of weird, you know. And the Enola, like, there were less defined characters in that one, because like the older gentleman who's we've seen now a couple times, he was in The Hunt, but he was in, you know, you sort of sat down with him at a dinner table and you talked about autopsy. Like it wasn't as sort of obviously tied into a plot line as much as it was like, here's another sort of strange situation that links in a sort of associative way.
Just hearing about this secondhand, I'm reminded of the dinner table scene from Eraserhead.
Kind of.
Just kind of having that experience of just kind of being in that totally alienating kind of like dream world where nothing's quite following the rules you're used to social interactions following.
And they're pretty good too at especially in the October Hunt, like the people moving you from place to place were usually coming from a place you wouldn't be looking. So, you know, I mean, you could see them if you know, looked around or you caught one, but, you know, usually they would come up from somewhere else and move you along. And so you never really got a great sense for who any of them were, just that they were moving you. And so that kind of contributed to the immersiveness. It's like, if you suspend your disbelief enough, it's just a force that kind of moves you from place to place.
Yeah.
You know? And they all kind of are in character, so to speak. You know? They all sort of hold up the aesthetic. So,
and they do something really brilliant of just like, you know, even in diffusion in this last one, it's like, you know, you have those moments of not knowing which way you're going. Like, at times they burst you out of the theater building entirely onto the street, and before you know it, you're getting thrown back into it through a different door.
Yeah. They're good at playing with space. They're good at using their space well.
It's like you're just kind of like walking forward whichever way you think you're supposed to walk forward, and then specifically in your blind spot, someone is grabbing you and putting you where you're supposed to be next.
Yeah, exactly.
If I may be allowed to, it's interesting as far as like the way in which different people react to it. If I may be allowed to speak for Erica, for instance, she told me something interesting at the end of it, where it was like, I felt calmer in there than I do normally.
Yeah, no, totally.
Like she was just able to let herself reach that moment of cutting loose and going with it.
Yeah, no, I mean that's how I felt too. I mean, like, you know, you're in your body so much. You're just here. You know, I feel like when all the times I've done these, when I'm in there, I'm not really focused on anything outside. It's just I'm here and I'm engaged.
Yeah,
and that was the thing again. Back in October was like, we got to the lounge afterwards because I think the October was like the big show too, because like this past time, you know, Dos Equis like sponsored their lounge, you know, and the lounge was fitting, but you know, it was still, you know, a nice place to kind of sit and decompress afterwards.
Stay alone, my friends.
Stay alone, my friends. But you know, it's like it was that thing of like, you know, parts of the show, like I said, were creepy and unsettling. Parts were scary, but other parts were sort of touching and soothing and beautiful. And when we got to the lounge there, we were just so relaxed.
Yeah.
And just so, like, you know, it was the most peaceful and relaxed and happy I had felt, you know, all month, you know, in a long time even. Just sitting in the lounge afterwards. And it is kind of like, you know, it's like, you know, a cathartic experience, and it's, you know, an experience that makes you go to places that you don't really access on a day-to-day basis.
That's making me wonder, because, like, you know, the I guess the conventional wisdom is that you know, people keep on saying, like, the whole reason the Halloween haunt and the desire to keep on going more extreme and more intense with it, it's coming from, you know, it's like people don't come into, like, really having a sense of danger anymore. Not at a personal, really, really punchy level that, you know, that used to be such a huge fixture of just life in general. We're also comfortable and we're also secure, so it's like we kind of need to get back in touch with that feeling of, you know, I'm gonna die.
Well, like, yeah, it's like, you know, horror in general, and, you know, and this isn't just horror, but it's like, you know, haunts and horror movies and stuff like that, they're all sort of at least partially a way to, you know, challenge the more upsetting and more uncomfortable parts of life in a controlled environment. And it's like, you know, I think since haunts are such a common thing now, it's like more and more of these are popping up because, you know, the rush goes away a little bit when you're, you know, it's like everybody knows what the carnival haunt environment is like now. And so it's harder to get, you know, to learn and to get, you know, scared. Yeah. And so these are, you know, it's like the bigger test. It's why, like, it's the difference between watching, it's like a movie that's actually scary is harder to come by now than you might think, or at least, you know, if you watch a decent amount of horror movies, it's like, you know,
like, there's that whole notion of like, people are getting such fatigue over jump scares because it's like there are no real avenues for, like, most horror movies are they just go off of having, like, the startle reaction. They can't really get under your skin and that personal feeling of dread anymore. Yeah, that's something that I loved about the Babadook so much. It was so personal.
Yeah, exactly.
As far as horror movies are concerned,
and I mean, that's, you know, it's a safe environment to sort of test your limits, and, you know, it's like, not that these are in any way the same, but it was like, you know, sitting down to watch The Human Centipede 2, I was really nervous, and I didn't know what I would get, and I didn't know what that was a strange, difficult experience, and, like, that's what a horror movie can do, is you can challenge those things, and that's what haunts are now doing, is you can challenge your limits, and you can make an agreement, and then sort of see what's in there, you know. You can see what you're made of at some of the more, you know, aggressive ones, or with something like Alone, you can sort of see what's lurking in your mind, you know, and what your eyes are going to do in the dark.
And the thing about Alone is, like, you know, if haunts are, like, your more typical horror haunt is there to, like, give you the feeling of, like, you know, a simulated kind of physical danger and everything, and get your blood pumping in that way, you know, then I guess Alone is, and, you know, it's like the more horror classical haunt is there to kind of, like, replace the fact that we're not coming into mortal danger anymore. Maybe Alone in the ecology is there because we're kind of living sort of emotionally sedate lives. You know, we're not really coming into contact with really kind of like the depths of, you know, feeling isolated or lost or confused. You know, we're told that there's so much connectivity in the world, and it's just kind of like, you know, then at the same time you get people, you know, we have seemingly so much more openness about people feeling like severe depression or severe anxiety out there in the world. And I guess kind of Alone in what it does for people is kind of get us back in touch with just kind of like, in a sense, how fragile our emotional and our psychological states are.
Well, yeah, because, like, you know, the world now isn't overly encouraging of people getting in touch with emotion and sort of exploring it. You know, a lot of people, you know, for whatever reason, don't seem to. I mean, I'm sure everybody does when they're alone to a degree, you know, just on their own. But, you know, it's like people don't explore, and it's easy to sort of not be plugged into the world around, especially when you can carry a million distractions with you. And, like, everything is geared now. Again, that's partly what I appreciated so much about Inside Out was, like, nowadays we're sort of told that, you know, it's like, no, you should be happy. Like, you don't ever want to, like, being sad is bad. Like, you know, you should be happy. You should, you know, blah, blah, blah. You should be happy and active all the time because everybody's happy and active all the time. And this is a cool way of exploring some of the other things and just testing them out, you know, in an environment that's also
in that way.
Creative. And so it's personal, but it's not just mired in your own details. It's like, here's something we're sort of doing together, but I'm doing on my own.
Can you imagine, like, if Alone was an entire theme park?
That would be very strange.
That would be fucking rad.
That would be fucking rad. I don't know how it would work, but...
Yeah, and I don't know how they would, like, have enough of a I don't know how they would have enough of, like, a repeat. Because the thing is, like, you know, you can never really get totally desensitized to a roller coaster or drop tower. I feel like after a while you would get desensitized to, you know, the tools that are being used to simulate certain or get certain emotional reactions out of you. So they would have to have things kind of constantly rotating, constantly shifting and changing.
Oh, and that's why these are special, because they, you know, you can go a few times, but they only pop up a specific amount of times in a year, you know. Now they're slightly more now, but even each time is changing theoretically if you go once each cycle.
I want to go to Alone Land, and I imagine Alone Land has like a little simulated village that's basically just like Silent Hill.
Yeah.
Because it's empty and foggy, and things that you don't trust are everywhere.
Well, it's very the one in October especially was very Silent Hilly in the sense that, like, you know, some things were people and other things were like, I don't quite know what this thing is that's walking past me and might touch me at any moment, you know. And that's the cool thing. And I think it's like they've gotten very clever because it's not a traditional haunt, and they've sort of used the haunt craze to create this thing that is at home enough alongside other haunts, but at the same time is, you know, you're sort of getting people to explore, like they said, it's like you're exploring emotion, you're exploring things like fear and loneliness and isolation and the dark, you know, things that you wouldn't otherwise explore on your own necessarily. You're not encouraged to explore just in your general life today.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's really cool because, you know, it's like you might not realize it at the time, or you might realize it especially at the time, but you're sort of probing around the dark matter of your brain, you know. So I think that's awesome.
And they're starting to pick up a lot of steam. Like I wonder what the rush for tickets is going to be like towards the end of this thing, because it's just like they sold out, you know, of their four index passes and their diffusion passes pretty quick.
Mm-hmm. Well, pretty quick. It seems like it's at a nice place where it's like they did sell out, but it wasn't like like in 5 minutes they're gone. You know, it's like I was able to pretty. You know, I didn't waste time, but I was able to be like, oh yes, I must go on the computer and get those. It wasn't like, you know, like, what am I gonna do? So I feel like they're just cresting to the point where pretty soon it'll be hard to get tickets.
Yeah,
you know.
God help us when that happens.
Because it's sort of part of the charm is that it's, you know, smallish and it's site specific. It's sort of like, what can we get? All right, now let's work with that. You know. So
I wonder if that's going to be a thing going forward. Like more venue means more, like different venue means more space, means like bigger capacity as the indices continue.
I would assume. I mean, again, you know, just like judging by the different things we've done. You know, the one in October, they were able to have 5 of us doing it at least at a time, and probably more depending on how frequently they brought groups in.
Yeah, this clearly had to have like, because they were pouring people into it at a pretty decent pace, and they were able to like get a decent crowd inside of the dance room, when you know, get a decent crowd inside of the wardrobe room when they needed a buildup of a crowd. And it was like fucking brilliant pacing. It's like when they want you to be in a crowd, you're in a crowd. When they want you to be alone, you are alone.
It seemed like the pacing was nice and staggered and different for everybody. You know, because I would notice like overlap. Like I'd be like, oh, I didn't expect to see you. You went in so much earlier than I did. You know, and then certain people finished after me. It's like everybody kind of got shuffled, and you know.
Yeah, because we bumped into each other in the wardrobe.
We did. Oh man. Alone. Awesome.
Alone.
I'll pretty much show up for anything these guys do. I really like what they do, you know, and it's more my pace.
Yeah, it's unique and it's meditative in a way.
Yeah, it's like I'm glad somebody has taken this format and taken it so soon, you know, and sort of done something like that. Yeah, you know, so getting cerebral with it.
Yeah.
Doing
a thing, man.
Doing a thing, you know, using it, you know, it's, you know, using it meditatively, creatively, and giving us, you know, for us, you know, arty types, I guess.
I'll get it.
Are you expecting something?
No.
Dude, totes unprofesh.
No, we'll cut it out afterwards. Okay. It's a thing.
A thing?
Yeah, it's Oh, it's from Terrorween Spooky Days. I told you they were just dropping things. They're.
I'm starting to get a little skeeved.
What? They just did a random dead drop in the middle of the record?
I guess skeeved is the wrong word. It's a little creepy. It's
very weird.
It's weird, yeah. What is
Terrorween Spooky Days have been sponsoring a few of our episodes.
I'm starting to wonder if they're sponsoring or if we're a pawn in a bigger game, in a bigger, much spookier game,
like some kind of like the game with Michael Douglas type of thing.
Exactly like that. Oh, I'm sorry.
Let's see.
Long day.
You are talk competitors when we do pay.
What, a capitalized we?
Yeah, capitalized we. When we do pay for show rage. Sincerely, Terrorween Spooky Days.
That's weird. Okay.
What is a competitor?
A competitor, I would assume.
Oh.
Just always assume that big words have a syllable missing.
Yeah.
I feel like
this is to truncate everything. A lot of frowny faces.
A lot of frowny faces.
Lot of frowny faces. And like a wingdings glyph of a fighter.
Ooh.
Well, thanks to Terrorween Spooky Days for sponsoring the show.
Yeah, thanks, Terrorween Spooky Days.
And
can we fix this just by plugging them again?
I don't know. I don't know what this means. I have an idea what this means, but I don't want to say what I think this means because that would be a bad thing for this to mean.
I think, well, you know, I mean, they've seemed relatively good-natured up until this point.
Yeah.
It seems like they're mostly just invested in people's ability to spooky.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
maybe they like that. Maybe they could, you know, maybe Jor Hairbum, creative executor of Terrorween Spooky Days, maybe he could exchange notes with the Alone guys, and maybe they could collabo.
That would be awesome. That would also be very strange.
It'd be very strange.
That'd be very strange in a different way.
Yeah, but I feel like Terrorween Spooky Days, like there's a lot of creative compatibility to work with there. I mean,
suppose.
Like Alone,
like they're open.
Alone didn't have a bathroom, so
yeah, and Terrorween Spooky Days does. Their bathrooms are open every days, including Thursdays through Sundays, according to their literature.
So you can go there to go to the bathroom when the haunt itself, wherever Terrorween Spooky Days is closed. And that's just great.
Yeah, I mean, that's just a public service. I mean, that's like, oh, hey, I can't go spooky, but I did need to pee.
Yeah.
So.
And at Alone, you couldn't even pee.
Yeah, I mean they warned.
There's,
I'm so tired. They warned us about that.
there's something kind of sticky on the paper.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't exactly know what that is. So,
I don't.
we'll have to see what that is. And I just realized the paper's a little wet too.
Get it down to the lab.
Yeah, I'll get that down to Dank Ass Laboratories.
I mean, maybe it was just like maybe it was just like a butcher paper from the Meats on Hook.
Maybe. Hey, which is Oslo, the food court.
Yeah. So get your meat.
So if you get the chance to go to Alone, go to Alone. But more importantly, go to Terrorween Spooky Days.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, both are great for their own.
Whatever Terrorween Spooky Days does, we haven't found where they're located or what they do as of yet.
But we will.
Yeah.
Hopefully. I mean, I think, and it's also, I imagine it's not peak haunt season, and it doesn't seem like they have necessarily just the same kind of show and the same kind of funds, to put something together like Alone does. So.
Yeah.
So hopefully more Terrorween Spooky Days.
I mean, because if Terrorween
like October,
if Terrorween Spooky Days is open every day except Thursdays through Sundays, they have to probably have like one set location. They can't just keep on bouncing around rented venue to rented venue like Alone.
Well, yeah, I would
assume. Yeah.
But who knows? I mean, maybe they're the kind of place that would rent out like just a vacant lot or
warehouse.
Yeah. And just
post up in a cornfield.
Yeah. So maybe they can just shack up there for like a month and a half and be open every day except Thursdays through Sundays. Yeah.
So if you are in the LA area and you want to get spooked, you can't do much better or worse than Terrorween Spooky Days.
Yep. Terrorween Spooky Days. And hey, what would be great is if Terrorween Spooky Days could marinate some of that meat in Frank S. Tubbs' flank ass rubs. That's right. Some of the most culinarily mind-blowing... I'm just making up words now. The copies... They didn't send us copy.
Yeah, they just said just wing it.
Yeah, just imagine all the different things you could do to your meat on a hook,
Put a spice rub on it.
Yeah,
Rub up them spices.
Yeah, get some of that Caribbean jerk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And while we're at it, the elephant inflates you.
The elephant inflates you.
Frostbite balls.
Enjoy your frostbite balls.
And all of these other dank ass memes.
Oh, I shouldn't say enjoy your frostbite balls. That sounds like enjoy your burrito.
What's enjoy your burrito?
That's Nerdist.
Oh, is that a thing they do? They tell people to enjoy a burrito?
Well, yeah, it's like it came from one of the episodes where they were counseling Matt Myra and sort of encouraging him to embrace life, sort of moderate but embrace life. It's like somehow it looped around that he had this great burrito, and it was just like, no, you should enjoy your burrito, and it was just sort of like just a general affirmation, like sort of a life-affirming thing, and now all the episodes end in enjoy your burrito. It's just a metaphor for
I watched the inception of Hey Nong Man on Comedy Bang Bang, so I wonder if Hey Nong Man is going to keep on spreading and keep on getting perpetuated.
You never know.
Yeah.
It could be their frostbite balls or their...
The elephant inflates you. Or their Frank S. Tubbs.
Frank S. Tubbs. Frank S. Tubbs.
Memes are like stars. Wow. There's another one born every day.
Yeah, and another one creating some kind of supermassive black hole.
Yeah.
And just sort of imploding on itself.
Yeah.
Quantum mechanics. Or no, astrophysics.
The dog.
Ass physics.
Dank ass physics.
Dank ass physics.
The dog.
Tro.
Yeah.
Well,
his wife.
Well,
we talked Marvel and movies and TV and Eric John Rosh.
Yeah, we talked some miscellany, some entertainment, and then we got meaty and greedy and
Alone. Baloney.
I really do love Alone. I really hope that comes through. It's
Alone loves us too, clearly.
Yeah, they want to hug us with all of their arms.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And
I'm sure this won't be the last you've heard of us on the subject. So.
Yeah.
So
because hopefully we're going to do what it takes to get into see all 4 indices, and we'll report back.
hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
So
Yeah.
all right. Well, that's our show for tonight. We're gonna go lock the doors, make sure no one from.
I'm going to get a gun and just stay up all night.
I mean,
for fear of terrible and spooky days.
I don't think you need to get a gun, but yeah.
Just load up on guns.
Be aware.
Load up on guns. Bring your friends.
It's fun to play and to pretend.
Yeah.
So
she's overboard.
Self-assured.
I know.
A dirty word. This has been Nirvana Spoken Word Hour. Here on Dank. Here on
Dank Radio.
Dank Radio.
This is Michael Silverblatt with Dank Talk.
This is Chris Dankenshire. And we will see you.
Our Dankowitz.
These are our
NPR voices.
NPR voices. I don't know where the microphone is on this computer, but we're
it's
hopefully talking.
It's up here at the top near the webcam.
What is it really?
It would have to be.
Why?
I'm pretty sure.
Well, now we're doing voices, and now we're not just smoothing out our voices; we're doing actual voices.
Yeah.
This has to stop before we become somebody else entirely.
I would eventually become I think of Michael Silverblatt from Bookworm. Have you ever listened to
No,
Bookworm?
I haven't listened to Bookworm.
It's on NPR, on the LA NPR, and Michael Silverblatt has got an interesting kind of cartoon man voice.
Okay.
So,
okay. I'll go check him out.
Yeah.
His entomology podcast.
Does he have one?
I was making. I feel like Bookworm would obviously be a literature-based show.
And it is. How'd you know?
Yeah, because it's got book in the title, and bookworm is a popular colloquialism for someone who's like wicked into books all the time. So I thought
don't think that's true. It sounds like you're making this.
You know what? You know what? Don't you contradict me in front of the viewers,
in front of the
listeners.
Besides the listeners,
don't you?
I will not. I've never even done that. I've never contradicted you before. What are you talking about?
I guess you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I flew off the handle there. I'm sorry.
So
yeah, no, I just thought it would be funny to go with the opposite.
If it was about insects instead of books.
Yeah, it's worms instead of books. Yeah. Like that segment that Buck Henry would do on the Daily Show. The Henry stops here. Because, it's like his name is Buck, so you're totally expecting it, but no. Or like when that joke with the gay radar. It's a radar that measures how gay you are. We call it a homometer. Like it's just that like really obvious silly reversal.
Yeah.
So anyway,
I just love that. She hands me the cell phone and tells me it's my dad. Man, this ain't my dad.
Man, this is a
cell phone. I just love when people
I'm not a part of your system.
I just love when people bypass the immediate thing that you're thinking of and go for the other bit.
Yeah. He gets a lot of comedy mileage.
Yeah. It's simple and it's obvious, but for me it works.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of mileage you can get out of taking things way too seriously with me.
Yeah.
Like, I've been on such a Lonely Island binge lately, and a good portion of their humor comes from, either reversing concepts or just being way too into a boat or your dick not working.
Yeah.
Or just be... Threw It on the Ground is so funny to me. Just partly because he just keeps on insisting that he's an adult and he's not a part of your system. And it's like... It's just your dad called. There's no system here.
Yeah.
It tickles me so.
Yeah.
It's like dudes who take shit way too seriously.
I mean, honestly, you know what this... I mean, it's like that old classic line is, you know what the secret to comedy is?
Threes.
No.
Oh. Well.
Ask me what's the secret to comedy.
What's the secret to comedy?
Subverting expectation.
Oh, shit, because I thought you were going to say timing.
What is that?
Or poop. Secret to comedies. It's always poop.
How much mileage have we gotten out of different poop riff bits with you?
I feel weird because it's like, the
jank father.
The jank father. Well, these podcasts are such an interesting hodgepodge.
Good.
Because, it's like...
They're the potpourri section of Jeopardy.
I feel like these are so varied because it's like... it's like the topic in and of itself is one thing, and then all the other extraneous things don't quite go along with it. So it's always got to be like a weird 4-course meal, you know.
It's like tomato soup, blueberry pie, an entire roast pig.
Yeah.
And just broccoli with shredded Parmesan.
Yeah.
In a chocolate fondue fountain.
Yeah, exactly. It's like there's a little bit of everything. I don't know what that feels like, but I guess, yeah.
A million great tastes that taste weird together. Dank Ass Stubs.
That's the slogan of the show.
Yeah.
A million great tastes that taste weird together. Dank Ass Stubs.
So, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you for being alone with us.
Thank you for being alone with us.
Once again, I am Aaron.
I am Jaren.
And remember...
And we're Ari. And remember, kids, stay
alone.
Freak. Stay alone.
Forever.
Be alone.
Be alone. Just lock yourself in your room and never come out.
Just be in a closet.
Yeah.
Not the closet, but just a closet.
Just be in a...
Come out of the closet in a closet.
Yeah. Just...
Call all your friends and family into the nearest closet and come out of the closet to them whilst being in a physical closet.
Yeah. Lock yourself with your clothes and let them know that you're gay.
Why was it a closet? I'm just curious.
I don't know. I don't know why the closet is where you would put your being
Your
anything.
I mean, well, you could come out from under the bed, like people sweep things under there.
Yeah,
or
maybe
like under a rug.
Maybe there was some kind of like, maybe it had to do with skeletons in the closet. Maybe people thought.
Why would you put your gayness next to your skeletons?
I don't know. Maybe there was like some.
I killed this guy, and also I'm gay. I want to put this here so that no one knows about either.
I work in a science lab, and I stole a skeleton from the lab, and also I'm gay, so I'm going to just put all my secrets in the same space.
We have to stop before any of these tangents get any further.
Yeah.
All right, kids. You dank and stay near a closet.
You go to your room.
Go to your room.
Go home.
And give a look into it. Serious talk. Just give a look to Alone because they're awesome.
They are cool.
Very creative, and even if you can't go, just look them up on the internet.
Look them up. Just give them extra traffic and tell anyone you know in the LA area to go be alone.
Alone experience.
And unweave the Dankbow.
Unweave the Dankbow.